Hi, everybody. It's Alex Jarett with another Spotlight interview, and I'm really excited to introduce you to my good friend, David Williamson. Hi, David. How are you?
Hi, Alex. I'm doing very well today. Thank you very much for having me on.
That's great to have you. And then now, David is an expert C-level technology leader in life sciences, and you're an expert in IT and business strategy, team building, operational leadership, and also driving innovation. You're also on a number of boards, including our board of advisor program. So thanks for being involved in that. Wow, that's a mouthful, David. I mean, you have a really interesting background.
Oh, well, thank you. Yes, I've always been intrigued by science, hence my involvement throughout my career in the life science area, pharmaceuticals, biotech, medical devices. As you highlighted, building for my last two roles, how do we achieve the business strategy, the business goals via use of technology? So, building a corresponding IT strategy on what aspects of technology do you want to deploy? How are we going to deploy them? Building out a roadmap of how that's going to occur, and then building a team of the right skill sets, right people to be successful in that.
Gosh, Dave, that's a mouthful. It sounds like you've done a lot of interesting work, and I hardly know anything about life sciences. So tell us a little about life sciences, and I think you mentioned you used before, and now and before you use more of scientific principle, and you're involved from the technology standpoint, right?
That's correct. So, working with the scientific staff, the folks who are innovating and making new medicines and therapies, helping them utilize the technology to achieve those scientific breakthroughs that will help people around the world.
That's pretty amazing. So you're actively involved. It's almost like you do multiple roles in these different companies. I know that you were telling me this most recent one. Let me just look real quickly. You've got the last couple big jobs
Mhm.
where you're at Absenza, you were the CIO there, and then you were at Illumini. You were
Mhm.
head of analytics as well and Biogen. So you've been, and you got a number of other jobs, but those are your last couple big ones. You're on the
Right.
board of a group called Quadras, as well as our board of advisors. But it's that I know you when you joined, you were CIO of Absenza. It sounded like you had multiple roles there. It wasn't just like what people think of as the CIO, like the back end
Mhm.
systems stuff. It was actually you were involved in the operational technology as well, right? That actually
Yes.
helped the sciences do their job. Is that correct?
Yeah, correct. So, when you are involved in a smaller or mid-sized company like Ibzina, you get involved in wherever and however it's going to help the company move forward. So, I
Yeah.
was involved from individual laboratory systems, manufacturing systems, all the way up to our enterprise systems like CRM and ERP. So, it was wherever the need was, myself or my team members would get involved and do what was necessary to help move the business forward.
That's great. Well, I remember from our initial interview that you go back to your original educational programming. You actually have a degree. It's interesting how you ended up in life sciences because you actually have a degree in chemistry, and then
Yes.
you went into technology, correct?
Yes. Got my undergraduate in chemistry, had
Uh-huh.
some aspirations to be a research scientist, but then went on a different path, added in as you said, the technology component. So I've been very lucky to be able to make a career out of marrying two passions of mine together.
You have been, yeah. And then now you do a lot of strategy for people as well as the management and implementation, correct? Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, correct. So you mentioned my role as a strategic advisor to Quadras.
Yeah.
So they're implementing technology solutions to revolutionize the manufacture of pharmaceuticals or
Oh,
biological drugs. So how do we remove the paperwork from the manufacturing floor, from the laboratories? How do we digitize all that and then make that data available for AI, machine learning, or what other analytic tools that we may want to apply?
that makes sense. You've done some pretty cool work. So, I also noticed that you did some work as in data itself. Like you've been head of
Yes.
data. which I think for this type, it would seem to me for this type of work or product that these companies are creating, data is important everywhere, but it's like ultra important, right? Because you're talking
I,
about
I,
scientific research.
Yeah, absolutely. So everything comes back to the raw data
Yeah.
to prove that a drug works, that it's safe, that you are able to manufacture it in a consistent way. So as you highlighted it, my role in Illumina, I built out from scratch a whole data analytics, data science team. So Illumina, like many companies, you have lots of data all over the place. How do I convert that data into information and extract the value from it? So building out a whole data strategy and then executing on it, building out a team from zero to over a dozen persons to drive a lot of capability for Illumina, driving both reductions in scrap and waste to then automating tasks as review of images and other things that highly skilled scientists or engineers were performing.
So, yeah, I've heard you say this now a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
So, you do the strategy because you have that background, you're able to actually go these life science companies, you're actually able to help them strategize. Okay, here's the goal of either this new company or an arm of a big company, and say, or a big company, how are we going to apply technology strategically to improve our processes, right? That's number one. But you're also a team builder. I heard you say that too. And you've been involved in doing this a couple times where didn't you have to rebuild a team from scratch pretty much for this last role that you just had?
Well, not from scratch, but I more than doubled the size of the team.
Uh-huh.
And I think whenever you're applying technology, technology in itself doesn't achieve much. It's the combination of with the people and the technology and sometimes the process itself. And so the being able to facilitate that. But so when we talk about teams, it's both the direct reports, so the persons within IT, but also the combination of the team with your business partner, with the scientists, whoever you're helping deliver the solution to makes it is critical to success.
I also know that early on in your career, you were actually a communications officer in the U.S. Army. So first, thank you for your service. But, you know, we're out. I mean, I can't think of a better place to really learn core leadership principles and teamwork principles. I'll say it that way, right?
Yes, my experience in the military often was being put in a job that you weren't fully prepared for,
Yes.
and having to make it work. So it's always I always enjoy learning new things, doing new things, and the military certainly gave me a lot of opportunities to experience that.
That's great. So when you start a new project with somebody, let's say somebody brings you on and says, you know what, we really need to build this new arm or we need to build this new division. How do you typically start for something like that? Like what would be sort of the two or three building blocks that you would start on?
Well, I think the most critical piece of it is what are the goals, the measures that you're hoping to succeed as a business.
Uh-huh.
So putting a little bit of validity or ignoring what's possible and just saying what ultimately would I really love to achieve, and then driving back, bringing that backwards to dissecting that into more tangible components over a specific time frame, whether it's a year, 3 years, 5 years, and looking at each of those and how can I apply technology to help achieve those? What are the business challenges that I'm having right now that are
Yeah.
prohibiting me from achieving the results I would like?
Well, I mean, David, this has really been interesting. You have a lot of great attributes that you bring to the table for these different companies. And I know you can talk about each of these topics. I think for a long time, I've seen you in meetings, we've talked about like
Sure.
some of these different topics, but we don't have time to share all your knowledge today. So hopefully you'll come back and do more of the leadership sessions that you've been doing with us in the Board of Advisors program. And I appreciate you sharing today just kind of a highlight of what you've been up to in one of our spotlight interviews.
Absolutely. Always open to share my knowledge. And thank you very much, Alex, for having me on today.
It's a pleasure. Great to have you as part of the community.